What's up, everybody? Welcome to part 2 of today's show of the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. I'm Ryan Thomas, bringing you another edition of the Thomas Take. Once again, I am joined by Eric Ellis for today's show. Eric joined me in part 1. If you just were listening to it, hopefully you're following along and listening to this part as well. We're going to talk about a post that I posted on Facebook today about Cody Garbrandt having a better chance at beating Floyd Mayweather than Conor McGregor. Eric has an interesting take. He thinks that, thinks the opposite. I have my opinion. He's got his. Eric, what is your take on Cody Garbrandt having a better shot at beating Floyd?
I think that Conor has a better shot, in my opinion, because Conor is a bigger fighter. He has more power for his punches than Cody does. Not taking anything away from Cody, because Cody has trained in boxing, and Cody is a hard hitter himself. What I am insinuating is that Conor has a harder hit because he is a bigger guy. He has more power in his hands than Cody does.
And he's physically, his mass is bigger.
Yes,
his mass is stronger.
And the one other thing about Conor that I will say is that he's very precise. He gets in your head before the fight, and then during the fight, you get worried. You get a little bit nervous seeing this guy. And he just knows where to connect his fist with, obviously, your face. And he has the
intangibles to make it his fight before the fight even starts.
Oh, exactly.
So that's a huge part of it.
Exactly.
My take on it is, and what happened was I posted this status, and David Whitman, a good buddy of mine, posted that he thinks Garbrandt could beat Conor. That's a completely separate debate, which we'll probably get to the nitty-gritty of that later on in this part. But what I want to talk about was the fact that I think Cody Garbrandt would do better than Conor in a boxing fight versus Floyd. The reason why is because, as you said, as you alluded to, Cody Garbrandt is more experienced in boxing. He's not just more experienced. He's actually been a very, very successful boxer, which I didn't even know myself, and I'm a freak about this stuff. I looked up Cody Garbrandt's career as an amateur boxer, not as a pro. He never fought as a pro, but he was 31-1, more wins via knockout than obviously losses. He only lost one fight. And the fight, I believe, was a decision. And it was relatively before the fact that he became a pro MMA fighter. So he was doing a little bit of both during his time, rising up the ranks. And that was what made Uriah Faber interested in him. Interested in the fact that this is a guy that is bringing a Team Alpha Male that's not known as a wrestler. This is a guy that's known as a boxer. If I could take a boxer like him and round out his game, he could become somebody special, and he did. So the point that you made, though, about the fact that Conor's mass is bigger, he's fought at bigger weight classes. Cody does walk around 155, 160, walking around. Conor probably walks around at about 165 to 170-ish. So it's kind of tough, with that. Cody is more of a natural size guy. He wouldn't be cutting down. He wouldn't be going up. He'd be just right in the middle, whereas Conor cuts down to 155, and he obviously cut down to 145. So it's tough. It's an interesting. I think their fighting styles. I think Garbrandt fires punches at very weird angles. He's very elusive and loose, where Conor is very elusive and loose, but he's a southpaw. So Cody is kind of more orthodox and basic, but at the same time, for a boxer, he has crisper punches. He did, believe it or not, he does in terms of boxing and the sweet science, as they call it. From what I've watched, I thought to myself, man, he's a good boxer, and I don't know that about Conor because he's never fought a boxing fight. So really, to throw a guy in there versus Floyd Mayweather, who's, I hate to say it, I'm not the biggest fan. I wanted Manny to destroy him, but to throw a guy in there versus Floyd Mayweather, who I think is one of the better boxers of his generation, obviously the best of his generation, it's tough for me to justify picking a guy beating him that's never fought in boxing before. And that's kind of where I'm at. It's not even so much that I think Garbrandt would do better. It's just tough for me to pick Conor over Floyd. It would be easier for me to pick Cody over Floyd, even though that in itself is a huge stretch. I mean, I thought for years that Manny Pacquiao would run through Floyd Mayweather, easily pillar to post, beat the living crap out of him. And he didn't. And regardless of whether it was the collarbone injury, it did not happen. So what is your rebuttal to that?
Let's just get the obvious out of the way here. This Conor versus Floyd fight, it's honestly just all hype. It's all media. This fight, for all likelihood and purposes, probably, I say probably because there's a small chance it could still, probably won't
the small
happen.
never. There's a never say never.
There's a never say never. I agree.
Yeah.
But there's an all likelihood. This is just hype. This is just to keep both their names relevant, to make sure that Conor, his wife, or his girlfriend, I should say, for all of you that don't know, whatever it is, for all you don't know, is pregnant, and he is using that to not have to actually fight for a while, and that's respectable. I understand that.
Yeah.
But
he did earn the right to not. I mean, as much as I'd love to see him fight in the UFC tomorrow, he earned the right to call his shot.
Oh, he has.
He's
put. I mean, him, not by himself, but he has helped put the sport on the map for what it's worth.
Yeah.
And he wants to keep his name relevant for even. He wants this fight. I'm sure he does. It's $25 million, from what I understand, for both of them to make for this fight. Is that what they've agreed to? If this boxing match were to happen.
Yeah. Well, the as far as like the money, I mean, Floyd's gonna get, and if it does happen, Floyd's number is $100 million. He's gonna get $100 million to fight anyone, whether it's Conor McGregor or we'll just say Amir Khan or Manny Pacquiao again or whoever. He's gonna get that much money. The problem is how far. When does the leash tighten for Conor? When does Dana pull the leash back and say, hey, enough is enough. This is not going to happen. We need you, frankly. At the end of the year when they go back to Madison Square Garden, they're going to need them.
Yeah, they will, definitely.
There's no doubt about that.
No argument here.
There's going to be a point where I think Dana's letting this go. He's having fun with it.
He is.
But in the back of his mind, he's got to be thinking, is this either going to happen soon or not? The window's closing. It really is.
But here's the thing, too. You know as well as I do, the WMEC, the company that bought the UFC.
WME,
WME, my bad.
yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
My mistake.
No problem.
But they are in quite a bit of debt right now for buying the UFC. And they need to make these big-name fights while they can. GSP and Michael Bisping is a fight that's going to happen later this year. And this is going to draw a lot of attention, a lot of money to them that they're trying to do, and this is kind of what.
But as much as I love GSP, and as much as I'm excited to see him come back, the amount of time Conor has taken off to the day that he decides to return will be 5 times the amount as what Bisping versus GSP will make. One reason why is because Michael Bisping is not a draw.
No, he's not.
He's not a draw. And as much as he talks up fights and stuff like that, and people like hardcore MMA fans tune in, worldwide, he's an international star, but he's not. He's really just started to become a draw, and he's 37 years old.
Yeah.
So it's apples to oranges, so to speak. I think that if this fight was going to happen, it has to. If this fight is going to happen, it's going to have to happen within the next, we'll just say 5.
By the end of the summer.
I would say if it's supposed to happen in June, or like Floyd said, it's going to have to happen like in 2 weeks. If it's going to happen in September, like Conor's saying, it's going to have to happen like within a month.
Yeah,
because the reason why I think Garbrandt would have a better chance is because he's actually fought those boxing minutes and those boxing rounds where we've seen Conor in MMA fights. Between Nate and Chad, even though he destroyed Chad, there were moments where he didn't necessarily get up off his feet. The round ended. Mm-hmm. So, I'm not trying to nitpick him, but that happened. That was something that happened. And even the first fight with Nate and the second fight with Nate, luckily for that second fight, he caught a second wind, and that helped him win that fight.
He did.
So I don't know. It's not even about Conor's ability. It's more about can he last
That's another
the 12 3-minute rounds.
That's another good point. I will agree with you there.
Yeah.
He does have a lack of tank, for better lack of term, and we saw that in the part 2 Nate Diaz fight.
Yeah,
where he did get that second win, but in the third round he obviously gassed out, and he was getting his butt handed to him.
The start of the 5th round, if you were to watch, I think it's UFC Fight Motion, if I'm not mistaken. It's on their YouTube account. He was both guys. At the start of the 4th round, they looked like they were dying. Like they looked terrible. Nate's face was a mess.
That was bad.
Conor. Literally, they're putting ice on his head, and his eyes were closed, and he looked like he was in excruciating pain from the leg problem that he'd had from basically not breaking his shin, but basically had one of the deeper bone bruises on his shin that you could possibly have. Yeah. So it'll be, it's not going to go away. It's not going to die down. I just thought that in comparison, if I'm thinking about Conor's chances over Floyd versus Cody's chances over Floyd, I like Cody's chances over Floyd more just based on the fact that Cody has more experience and he's shown that he has a gas tank for days.
And I respect your opinion with that. And I will agree that I think that he has more experience and he might fare a little better in a long-term boxing match. But I feel like Conor, like I've said, has got
he has more of a chance to finish the fight.
Finish it, yes. And that's the thing. I mean, Floyd can dodge. He can, dance around the ring for a bit and hug Conor when he gets into trouble. But, I mean, if Conor gets in 1, 2, 3 hits that, he's got all the power behind his left fist, this could be it.
One hand.
That could be it.
And that's there's always, when you're talking about one guy that's so favored versus another, I could think of 5 examples off the top of my head, just in combat sports, where everybody's like, "Oh, this guy's gonna destroy him." He's this Mike Tyson and Buster Douglas, GSP and Matt Serra, Michael Bisping and Luke Rockhold. There's so many. I can't even. Roberto Duran versus Sugar Ray Leonard. People thought, and it was really in that Hands of Stone movie that I had learned this. People thought that Duran was just a puncher, that he wouldn't be able to go toe-to-toe with Leonard. And in parts that was proven at a later time, but for the first fight, he went toe-to-toe with Sugar Ray Leonard. He went the full distance with Sugar Ray Leonard when people thought he'd really only be able to last 4 or 5 rounds. So we don't really know what a fighter's made of until it actually happens. That's the beauty of it. The speculation of it in this case is, I'm not a Floyd Mayweather fan, so it's tough for me to. It makes me mad that Conor, in a way, has given people ammo to talk about Floyd. Well, I don't think anybody should be talking about Floyd.
He's essentially retired. There's no reason for it.
Especially being that he's retired, and the Manny Pacquiao fight was a dud, and then he stayed in the sport and fought Andre Berto. When that was just terrible. That fight did less pay-per-view buys than Bisping and Dan Henderson. If that puts things in perspective, and it. I hope it does happen. I would want it to happen just for the fact that it seems like a lot of people want it to happen, and popular demand usually wins in every case. It's just that I wish that Conor didn't give. Conor would have rose up my GOAT ranking if he would have just said, "Fuck Floyd, fuck boxing. I'm a UFC fighter. I'm an MMA fighter. I want to fight Khabib, Tony, Nate Diaz, whoop all their asses, and ride off into the sunset and say, fuck you, fuck everybody, and just call it a day." You probably would have preferred that, too, over this Floyd Mayweather crap, right?
I actually would have. I hate to say it, because I do like Conor, but, this is just him trying to stay relevant. This is him trying to get the biggest payday possible. Mm-hmm. He knows he's not going to get more than, $5 million from the UFC for a fight, and this is what he's trying to do. He's trying to maybe transition into boxing at this point. I'm not really sure at this point. And this is like a win-win situation for Conor no matter what. If he wins, that's unprecedented. But if he loses, it's not a big deal. No one will give him any credit for it. He's going into a